Welcome to NewsNation's Backscroll, where we look back at our major news coverage on the most important topics and personalities of our time.
It's from the car rental office near their Lompoc, California home on October the 7th. That's the day they embarked on a highly mysterious road trip to Nebraska. We've seen a picture of young Melodee from that visit, but now the aperture has widened and we can see her mom, Ashley, too. And now it's obvious why police were saying it seems like the child was wearing a wig because mom was known to wear wigs. And this particular photograph proves that. Police are now also confirming that Melodee, the child, was seen alive as late as October the 9th, 2 days after that picture that you just saw. That's when Ashley was making her way back from Nebraska to Southern California. They say surveillance video places the child near the Colorado-Utah border. After that, they say Ashley drove through and made stops in Green River, Utah, Panguitch, Utah, St. George, Utah, a tiny corner northwest Arizona, Prim, Nevada, and Rancho Cucamonga, California. All of the stops on your screen were on or about October the 9th. On the 10th, they say Ashley returned home to Lompoc all alone. Police are asking anyone who may have spotted Ashley's rented white 2024 Chevy Malibu in any of these places to call them. And speaking of that white Malibu that they are referencing, we're now learning Ashley switched license plates while she was en route in that car. Police say the car was spotted October 8th with a New York license plate that did not belong to the rental company nor to Ashley. When she turned that rental car back in, the original California plate had been reaffixed to that car. Nothing suspicious about that, am I right? Yeah. Joining me now to sort out all of this is retired FBI agent Jennifer Coffendorfer. So the most important part of all of the revelations today, the video, the license plates, the wig, all of it, what's your read?
The most important thing is we have a whole new date where now we know she was alive, and that was on the 9th. That is huge information. But I think on top of that, Ashley, look at the fact that they said she was on camera on the Utah border, but yet they have all those other destinations and cities that were far west of there, yet no camera footage of her. That is so concerning. It makes me think she didn't make it far past that point that she's last seen.
So the October 9th sighting, I'm confused as to why the police are only telling us that now. If they're looking for people and extra eyeballs to get on this story and give them tips, why are they just telling these things to us now?
Well, Ashley, I'm wondering when this information came to them, when they first were able to discern that she was on that camera. This is a situation of true gumshoe FBI agent work. You have AO leads, which are auxiliary office leads that are put out to all these different areas, and these agents have to go to these particular locations and pull camera footage. Then they have to download it. Then they have to sit there meticulously watch it. And that's how they're getting the footage like the one they referred to. So maybe this is a little fresher than we think.
So talk to me about that route, the map that we put up, and the fact that the police are now telling us they're searching 4 different states. How exactly does this work, especially if the FBI is taking lead?
So the headquarters of the FBI for this case is out of Los Angeles. There's an RA in San Maria. I believe that's the RA that would handle this case. They are responsible for putting out what we call leads to all of these other offices that are throughout this 4-state region. From there, a lead lands on your desk, and this is going to be a priority lead as opposed to routine, and you're going to go out and cover that lead. In other words, look at that location where they know that they have been.
So when you say look in the location, those states are all big. Do they just sort of hit everything along the highway, or how do they actually tackle this?
Well, first of all, I think there's very pointed information that's from that GPS in that Malibu, possibly also if she had a cell phone, and certainly from her credit card. We know she had a credit card to rent that. So I think they're also working on that credit card information to track. And so those agents are going to be pointedly go to those locations along that route to try to pull information such as the video surveillance from those locations.
So does that mean they put boots on the ground at every single stop that, say, a credit card is seen to have activated? Like every gas station, they'll go to each gas station and say, what did you see? Did you see the little girl? I mean, is it literally that much gumshoe detective boots on the ground work?
Absolutely. You're going to go to those locations, and I'm sure they're going to do this the right way. You're also going to want to go at the exact time that they are believed to have used that credit card. And this is why there's people that hang around those gas stations at different times. You've seen them, I've seen them. People are routine. So you're going to want to interview all those witnesses, the clerks that were working at that particular time, and pull that footage.
So Jennifer, like you and I have been talking about this case for weeks, and there's just what I feel like is a mountain of evidence of bad acting, right? Bad actor behavior, switching license plates, wearing wigs, evidence is taken from the home, renting cars, you know, this is all the sort of stuff that innocent people don't typically do. Why is this woman, Ashley Buzzard, Melodee's mother, not arrested yet?
Well, the biggest problem is anytime you want to arrest somebody, you have to have the criminal violation in hand that you can charge. So if you look at this case, the number one thing they could do is put her before a dependency court. All they have to do is have a judge issue a summons to her. They need to pull her into court and have her explain what is going on with her daughter. At the point she does not explain, she can be held in contempt and jailed until she explains.
So the dependency court, this is the thing that's been really bugging me. I feel like we got 2 weeks ago, CPS going to the door, handing her a document that neighbors said was produce this child in 72 hours. Well, 72 hours came and went. And then we learned it wasn't a police request. This was a CPS request, but we never heard that police made that same request. Why would they not have made the same request? Why aren't they making it today?
Well, you know, I'm looking at this thinking that there is good reason for when she is out. Remember, she's the only person that really knows what happened to Melodee. And so she's a key witness. For instance, that storage locker, do they know about the storage locker from the credit card information? Or was she frequently going to that storage locker? I am sure they have her under surveillance, and she's providing information unwittingly about just through her actions now.
Again, surveillance is one thing. Arresting someone and then scaring the bejesus out of them with, you know, potential murder charges until she coughs up information, that's another thing. Is that just not a good strategy?
I don't think it's that it's not a good strategy. I think that they're toiling with what are they going to arrest her for. Any parent can take a child and have them go and visit an individual that they deem appropriate to visit. That's not a crime. Certainly everything she's doing and everything we know leads us to think this is a crime that she has possibly committed. But Ashley, the truancy law changed October 1st in California. So to me, the truancy would have been the number one thing they could have charged her with, but now that's not a criminal violation as of literally October 1st.
Should be. Makes me livid. All right, last question. Are they watching for a major mistake being made on the part of Ashley Buzzard? And if so, what's that mistake they're looking for?
Well, Ashley, do you remember when we talked about a week and a half ago, the cars that she tried to rent? I think that could have been a key clue if she would have been able to rent those cars. Was she going back to the location that she left Melodee? That's the kind of mistake they're looking for, and that's what they're hoping that somehow that she will make a huge mistake like that and lead them to Melodee.
Not hoping that she's listening to this, but how on earth do you keep eyes on someone like this so that she doesn't disappear into the ether?
Well, there's cameras that can be put on in her neighborhood and that can watch her. And I would believe that they have that in place and are watching her remotely.
Jennifer Coffendorfer, I hope we end up meeting in a different circumstance, and that is, good news that they found this girl and that hopefully they'll put her into some kind of a custodial situation where she can live out her middle school. I mean, she's barely even in middle school. I think at 9 she might still be in elementary school. But thank you for your analysis. Really, really helpful. I appreciate it. So what has this mom been up to since returning home to California alone? She ain't moving heaven and earth to get her little girl back, I'll tell you that. But she may be thinking of moving, because yesterday, according to a neighbor, Ashley had what looked like moving boxes delivered to her home. And she appeared to have changed her hair as well, or her wig once again. Let me just show you the video that we can play for you that was shot right next door of Ashley, weirdly with her purse slung on her shoulder and her boots on, although not leaving the property. Take a look at this. Yeah, nothing suspicious there. Moving boxes. For a woman who just, last week was hauled out of that house and taken with what looked like detectives, plainclothes detectives with sidearms in their gun holsters, got her into a vehicle and drove off with her to a quote-unquote alternate location right before police and FBI raided her home for hours, and a storage locker, and also searched the rental car that she'd been using. You may recall late last week, this happened in Lompoc, California, right? And they did those searches, but then weirdly, she returned. That part was a head scratcher to me. That alternate location after the storage locker and all the rest, no, she was allowed to return. And after that, the neighbor says that Ashley did not venture out of the house for 72 hours. But on Sunday, she went somewhere in an Uber, apparently for about 2 hours, according to the neighbor. And on Monday, a sheriff's deputy was back and knocking on her door and said they, quote, had something to give her, end quote. But Ashley Buzzard, keeping in constant, behavior, refused to answer the door. So I know what you're thinking, and no, police and the feds aren't just relying on neighbors for intelligence. What's believed to be plain-clothed officers or agents are parked outside of Ashley's house round the clock. As for your other question, why Ashley Buzzard hasn't been hauled in and charged with something, anything, I wish I knew the answer to that.
Well, there's nothing that's not suspicious about this case, and the mother's behavior is completely off the charts. We generally don't see anything like this. But the big problem in this case is you don't have a body, you don't know where the child is, and because of that, you don't have a crime scene. And unless they're keeping things really close to the vest, which is, of course, entirely possible, it's going to have to rely on them putting together a circumstantial case to charge her with something. Now, it could be a murder if they're able to determine that she's dead. It could be a situation where they end up having to charge her with something really lightweight, like endangering a child or something like that. But just not cooperating with the cops is not really a violation. She has the right to not do that, but it sure makes it suspicious, and it puts the cops in a position where they're going to have to do surveillance and keep watching her.
So, John, for people like me out here, we get it. We know that you don't always have to answer police questions unless you're subpoenaed. But when you don't have a child that you can produce to them to ensure the child's safety, doesn't the metric change?
Well, it would change slightly. It certainly makes it more suspicious, but unless they have something that is going to be able to prove that they put her in danger, she can just lawyer up and not say anything at all. There's always that reasonable doubt that maybe she's with relatives out of state, maybe she was left with a friend or something like that. And when you have those possibilities hanging out there, it puts you in a position where it's difficult to charge her with anything, because even if they made an arrest, we all know there's something going on here. But in California, if an arrest is made, they have to be able to charge her within 48 hours, and the prosecutor's not going to be able to go forward with that if they don't have concrete proof that something bad has happened.
So, Bobby, the moving boxes, that can't be good. In my opinion, and it's a layperson's opinion, that looks like fleeing might be imminent. Does that change the dynamic here at all with the way police are looking at her, or whether they need to actually grab her before she might, I don't know, disappear like Brian Laundrie was able to with agents outside of his home in Florida?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I think John's right. I think they probably have something drafted on a lesser charge, a child abandonment, child neglect charge. They probably have something drafted. They don't want to charge her yet with it, but they probably have, she's under watch. If she starts leaving with those packed boxes, I believe they'll probably then be forced to haul her in before a family court judge on a lesser charge. I think they're building the case now. It's taken a lot of work because this is kind of a mystery on where the child is, but I think they probably have charges drafted. They don't want to charge her yet because they're not very strong. But if she starts packing those boxes into a car and leaving, I think then they're going to be forced to do something.
Yeah, a little hard to do that even under the cover of night, packing boxes into a vehicle. Okay, John, last week on the show, it might even have been Monday, the days are long, Jennifer Coffendorfer, formerly with the FBI, said that it's a wise strategy to leave her to her own devices right now because she is frantic. I mean, she's behaving in an erratic way. And maybe, just maybe, there'll be the kind of screw up that will A, lead them to Melanie, or B, lead them to Melodee's body, God forbid. Is that what you see as perhaps the reason that they're taking this hands-off approach?
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible and most likely probable. For a simple reason, she doesn't seem to be a very sophisticated criminal or anything like that. Just the fact that she didn't plan this very well. We don't know if she was trafficking her daughter. But then again, on the same hand, you don't know that she's not visiting relatives out of state that Ashley is not telling anybody about. Now, you would think that other family members, if they're watching this show or they catch media coverage on this case, would be willing to come forward, which makes it even more suspicious that we're probably having a tough time finding her alive. I don't like to be a pessimist on these things, but having worked with them over the years, the behavior like this is pretty far out there. It could suggest some mental health issues on the part of the mother, maybe some defiance. Of course, we know that the father is not in the picture. I understand that he was killed in a motorcycle accident when she was very young. So we don't have him to appeal to, which would be really a great thing. We also don't know if maybe Ashley is being forced into this by somebody else. So there's so many variables out there which put the investigators at a disadvantage to bring charges at this time.
So what's fascinating, I thought when this road trip to Nebraska surfaced, that Nebraska is a hotbed for human trafficking, sex trafficking. And I wondered, my goodness, off she went to Nebraska with the child and came home without the child. Is that possibly what could have happened? And lo and behold, that doesn't seem to be the case. I want to get both of your thoughts on this. Start with you, Bobby. She went to Utah and Nebraska. They are both considered to be hotbeds for trafficking. But here are all the places: Utah, Arizona, Nebraska, Colorado. She was in all these places, Nevada, before she returned to California. Can you make head or tail, Bobby, about this route that she took, having returned from Nebraska, still with the child, because the child is last seen apparently on the Colorado-Utah border?
Yeah, I mean, looking at that map, I can just say, and I live near that area, and I lived in Utah for a while, and I live out in the desert. That's a very unpopulated route through that southern Utah, through that Nevada area, the desert there. She's not going through a lot of major towns or major cities. She's off the beaten track there, and if you can anywhere along that route, you can pull off, and in 10 minutes you can be in a very desolate and isolated place. So if you wanted to, say, God forbid, dispose of a body, there's ample places along that route to do that.
Well, that's devastating. I was hoping it would be more something that was traceable, like a deal maybe made for trafficking in Nebraska and executed closer to Utah, the two states where, there's a lot of trafficking that's reported, but and something that would be, again, I said traceable, meaning you get Melodee back as opposed to get Melodee back dead. Actually, John, that's such a good question for you, considering that when you went looking for Laci Peterson, you ended up finding Laci Peterson and she was dead. Are we looking for a live little girl, or are we looking now for a body? Do you have any wisdom one way or the other?
Well, I'd like to think that we'd find her alive because that's always the greatest victory that you can have in a case like this. But you have to put some things out there that are going to provide an incentive for people to come forward. A pretty hefty reward can get people who are on the wrong side of the law to cooperate because they see a monetary advantage in that. And especially if there's more than one person involved in this, their loyalty is only going to allow them to be loyal up to a certain dollar amount, and then they'll come forward. Hopefully, programs like yours, and if anybody else profiles this, will get the word out to the right people. If Melodee's still with us, then we can bring her home. That would be the ideal situation. But having done the job for a while, my optimism is a little bit behind me now.
You know, I feel the same way. The longer we go with her erratic behavior and no sign of Melodee, it just it doesn't feel good either way. John Buehler and Bobby Chacon, thank you both. Really appreciate this.
Images have shaken investigators. A missing 9-year-old girl from California, possibly disguised. Take a look. This is an image that authorities released of Melodee Buzzard before. But tonight, there are new images of the same girl appearing to wear a wig. The latest clue in this case, raising chilling questions about what may have happened to Melodee, who vanished during a road trip with her mother, who has returned without any sign of her child. NewsNation's Jorge Ventura is live from Los Angeles tonight with the exclusive new details. Jorge, what are we learning about this?
Hey, Natasha. Well, this story really is sending shockwaves through the communities here in Southern California. We are now learning of these newly released images from Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office, giving investigators this new look into Melodee Buzzard, even right before she disappeared. And the images were taken from a security camera at a rental car business. And what's striking is that in that image, the child looks very similar to Melodee. But as you can see there, the child has straight black hair under a gray hoodie. Hair investigators now believe it is a wig. Now, officials say that Melodee was with her mother, Ashley, when she rented a white Chevy Malibu on October 9th of this year here in California. That car was later tracked through Nebraska and Kansas before Ashley returned home, but without her daughter. Days later, Melodee was reported missing on October 14th of this year after a school administrator reported Melodee's prolonged absence. Deputies went to the family's home, but Melodee wasn't there, and her mother, Ashley Buzzard, gave no clear explanation on where her daughter was. Her mother hasn't cooperated with investigators, and still no arrests have been made. Detectives say that the last verified contact with Melodee was in August of this year, and until these newly released images, the most recent photo of her was taken 2 years earlier. Now Melodee's aunt, Elizabeth Meza, spoke exclusively on Banfield and told us exactly what she noticed in that photo.
But that nose definitely, reminds me of her dad's. So yeah, it does look like her.
Now, Meza says that she hasn't seen her niece in more than 4 years, not since Melodee's father died in a motorcycle accident. She says that tragedy marked the moment where Ashley began pulling away from the rest of the family. She described to us the last time she saw Ashley and Melodee and what she notices that day.
But you can definitely tell at that time Ashley was unwell. She had her hair very short, like a buzz cut, and she was at that time wearing a hood, and she didn't stay for very long. She told my mother-in-law, I can't do this, and she took Melodee, and that was the last time we seen her.
Now, the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office says that detectives are still chasing leads across state lines, and while the FBI remains involved, the department is urging anyone with information to call 805-681-4150 and to not conduct independent searches that could interfere with law enforcement investigation. Melodee Buzzard is just 9 years old, 4'6", about 60 pounds. Authorities say she is still remaining missing, and right now still looking for any active leads on this active investigation. Natasha.
All right, Jorge Ventura tracking this case from Los Angeles tonight. Thank you.
Corinna Meza is Melodee's sister, and Elizabeth Meza is Melodee's aunt. Thank you, both of you, so much for being with me tonight. Obviously, there's a lot of breaking information that's happening, and this search is going on right now at Ashley Buzzard's house. There's a canine search at the house. They're searching a storage locker. They're also searching the rental car. Are police or authorities keeping you in the loop as to any of what's going on?
Not really. We spoke to the news girl that's been following it. She called and just let us know what was going on, and that Ashley was actually not arrested or detained. She was moved out of the home so they could search. But as far as detectives, we've called, left messages, and they haven't returned any calls. So we've been in the dark.
So what do you make of this imagery that we've got now? The FBI is there. We've seen plainclothes police officers showing up and taking her with a packed bag in a van. Do you have any idea what might be going on here?
No idea. I mean, they must have probable cause to, be searching, obviously. Maybe she said something. I mean, I don't know. It's all speculation at this point. We're just waiting for her to let us know where Melodee is so we could bring her home safe.
I mean, that is the goal of everyone. The police who are working on this, the neighbors who are keeping an eye on what's going on out in front of that house. There was that other video that I just played early on about showing Ashley Buzzard taking down all of those missing child posters that were out on the front, front sidewalk out in front of her house. It just breaks my heart to see video like this, and I can't imagine what this is like for you guys.
Yeah, it was extremely hard to watch that because, I know my niece went out there, my mother-in-law and family members, and put signs up there, not only for the community to see it, but for Ashley to remember, that you have this beautiful daughter and we want her back, we want her safe. And for her to just rip them down like they didn't mean anything, it's heartbreaking.
So I'm curious about what you said about those who set those posters up. Do you know specifically who put the posters out that she's tearing down?
Not like exactly which ones. My niece Karina did. Mm-hmm.
I myself did put a poster up.
So do either of you know if Ashley put any of those posters up? I mean, it's her daughter. And I've been in this business a long time. You cannot keep a mother away from the press or police when their child is missing. They're clamoring for attention. They're clamoring for information. They're handing out the flyers themselves. They are not tearing, signs down.
Yeah, no, she did not put any of those up. She didn't, but she ripped them all down.
It's really distressing to see that. And again, here's this other video of the van showing up with the officers. Are the neighbors able to give you any further information about what they could hear? Because you can see some of the neighbors out front there, and they're sort of within earshot of what's happening. Were they able to shed any information about what happened when these officers? Well, I'm going to just call them what appear to be officers because we don't know for sure if they're officers. But did you hear anything about what was said?
Like the conversation that they had with her?
Well, either the conversation they had with her,
anything.
or could anybody hear out on the street or the sidewalk what these officers were saying when they were on location?
Oh, no, I haven't heard of anything, what they were talking about or to her. No, they wouldn't. The officers wouldn't even respond when they were asked what agency they were from. They wouldn't even respond to the question.
And no one could overhear what was being said to Ashley, either as they were arriving or doing this, taking her out?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm. So, Corinna and Elizabeth, let me know about the past, because this is not the first time that that Ashley Buzzard has had troubles and has had Melodee taken away from her. Can you walk me back to those days and what happened, when it was, and what the circumstances were when Melodee was taken away from her?
I'm not sure on the exact reasons why she was taken away. I can only speak on when I talked to Ashley. previously on why her other child was taken away, but as far as why Melodee was, I'm not sure. I was told it was because she attempted suicide and her mental state was completely unstable and it was just declining, and so that's why she was taken away, but that's what I was told.
And Corinna, as her sister, this has got to be so heartbreaking. I think I've read accounts in the past that you have made overtures, you've knocked on the door, you've asked if you can help, if there's something that you can do, if your sister, Melodee, has everything she needs. Can you walk me through some of those experiences?
Yeah, so I just been trying to make contact with Ashley to get answers and hoping that she would tell me something as to where Melodee may be or if she's okay.
And did you get any kind of response at all?
No.
What happened when you knocked on the door? Would she actually come to the door? Would she talk through the door? Would she open the door? Like, describe for me what your interactions were like.
So there was one interaction that I did have with her. Going to the door, I was knocking. I waited for her to come out. I was probably there for about 30 minutes. She finally came out to do the laundry, and that is when the news reporter caught it on camera that I went and spoke with Ashley, asking her if she's okay, if Melodee's okay, if there's anything I could do for them. She did not answer any questions regarding Melodee. Only to let me know that everything has been hard on her and her mental health, and that she didn't appreciate all the attention she's been getting, and the fact that I was there and knocking at the door when she didn't want to answer.
Did she seem hostile towards you?
No, she doesn't really have like much emotion. Like very just straight face, like no emotion at all.
Elizabeth, this notion that Ashley took Melodee, if the surveillance pictures are what we hear they are, and that is that they're at a car rental agency in California, and that car drove all the way to Nebraska and back. Do you have any idea if Ashley Buzzard has a connection to Nebraska, or if her daughter, and I can't imagine this at 9 years old, Melodee, has a connection to Nebraska?
No, I have no idea. I mean, talking to her in the past, she never mentioned Nebraska. She never mentioned very much family or friends at all, actually. So when we heard Nebraska and Kansas, that was like shocking to us because she never talked about any other family besides her mom and her daughter. And they're both local, so no.
Well, not suggesting that this is the reason, but it is a hub for trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and that would make me think that the police would be knocking on your door, asking as many questions as they could about what you know about Ashley Buzzard and a connection to Nebraska. Have they been asking you for whatever information you might have about this woman and her daughter?
No, I talked to a detective probably about 2 weeks ago, and it was very brief, and he said he would keep us posted. And I actually called the Omaha Police Department to leave a message because I was getting tips sent in to me, so I had wanted to forward them, and nobody has responded either. My mother-in-law has gone down to the detective, the sheriff's department, to try to speak with them, and we're getting no replies at all.
So you got tips that people sent to you and you tried to give them to the local police who are searching for Melodee and they weren't interested?
Not that they weren't interested, they're just not replying. Like, you leave a message on a voicemail, and I haven't heard back anything.
Wow, no follow-up. All right, well, Corinna and Elizabeth, thank you so much for spending time with me tonight. We are all praying that there's a safe return of Melodee, your sister, your niece, and we'll stay on this as well. And I hope you'll join us again as we continue to watch what's happening in this search and what they find. Thank you again for this, and God bless.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.